Hey all, welcome to Monday, welcome to Countdown Day here on the channel once again, as voted on by all of you guys. And this topic took a bit of a left turn from what I initially intended. I'll explain what I mean when we jump into the top 10 stealthiest Transformers in the latest GotBot Counts Down. Hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe, and while you're at it, light 'em up, baby. Hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton, and it lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links. All of that's in the description down below. Also in the description down below. And if you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon. See what we have to offer to you through spring, or of course hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. So I said that this topic took a little bit of a left turn, and it did. Initially, my thought was to do a top 10 Transformers Ninjas list. And I said that might be too specific because I feel like people are going to vote for someone who's not a ninja. So I'm just going to change it a bit and say Stealthiest, figuring that a lot of the votes would still rely on Transformers Ninjas. Some time ago, we did one on spies. Little did I know that Stealthy was going to at least sort of overlap with that topic. We may specifically have to do ninjas at another time. Stealthy is a little broader than spy. Spy is more of a designation. Stealthy is more of an ability. And the way the list panned out, I think, was very interesting and certainly unexpected for what I intended. Nevertheless, I'm just here to report the results. You guys, with your votes, technically amass the list itself. And we will do our honorable mentions as we always do. We have 6 honorable mentions. They all got the same amount of votes. They did not appear on the list. Ratbat being one of them. I totally understand that. Gears was one of them. That one surprised me. I never took him for stealthy. Hound, because he's able to do the holograms and kind of mislead other characters. Bumblebee, who is a scout. Unicron. I mean, he's a planet, but do you necessarily expect him to devour you? I guess it depends on if you know the planet. I thought that was an interesting vote. And Smokescreen. Smokescreen could definitely be somewhat stealthy, especially when he uses his namesake, Smokescreen. None of them made the list at all. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to do like we always do, and we're going to kick things off with number 10. First. And kicking us off at number 10, we have this guy. It is animated Shockwave, specifically animated Shockwave. And you know, how can you argue with him being stealthy? After all, he's able to change his size, change his voice, change his look, change his energy signature. So much so that he was able to infiltrate the Autobots to its highest levels as Long Arm Prime, and was the leader of Cybertron intelligence, reporting directly to Ultra Magnus. I mean, he had everybody fooled in every way possible, and was able to carry out Megatron's nefarious schemes. Yes, a master of disguise, as he's often called, animated Shockwave takes the number 10 slot. Number 9 takes us all the way to Revenge of the Fallen and this guy. It's Reedman, and Reedman is actually an amalgamation of a number of characters, essentially. When the Decepticons wanted the Allspark Shard, they deployed Ravage to get it. Ravage went through some nest defenses, and then in the ventilation system, he kind of spit out all of these little balls. They were technically all individual minicons who coalesced together to create the super thin, razor sharp Reedman, who was able to steal the shard and go generally unnoticed. Very pliable, very malleable, very thin, razor thin. Reedman, extremely stealthy and able to take an item from a high security base. How can you argue with his stealthiness? And he takes the number 9 slot. And now coming in at number 8 is perhaps the Transformer that I thought was the most unexpected on this list, by way of Skids. I think that votes for Skids were more of a joke, because when I kind of inquired to a couple of people about it, they said, yeah, he appears so infrequently that, you know what, he's always sort of hiding, right? You don't really know him. You don't really know his character that well because he's so infrequently there. He just shows up, and then he disappears again. And I get it, he's only in a couple of episodes. I don't know if those that voted for him know more about his characterization in other fiction, for example, the IDW run. But that's not the reasoning I was given for the votes for this guy. The reasoning I was given for the votes for this guy is because he shows up so infrequently in the G1 cartoon. I'm sure it was meant as a joke, but enough fans made the same joke that old Skids here was able to take the number 8 slot. Coming in at number 7, we kind of get to what I thought the main crux of this list would be by way of Nightbird. I mean, she's a ninja. She is going to be stealthy. She is literally trained and taught to be stealthy, to hide in the shadows, you know, to attack out of darkness, to go unnoticed until it's too late. Or, well, in her case, not so much trained, more built that way. Yeah, Nightbird takes the number 7 slot. What are you doing?
Being stealthy and unexpected. Like Nightbird.
I'm going to leave this in here, you know that, right? Just so we're clear. That was Starscream Wife.
Being stealthy.
I think Nightbird's a little stealthier.
You didn't know I was coming on to the screen till I was there.
She tried. Maybe Starscream Wife takes the number 7 slot. Number 6 sticks with the spy definition of stealthy by way of punch, counter punch. In fact, a double spy. It's amazing. A lot of people said the same thing. Like, you know, obviously he masquerades as a Decepticon or as an Autobot, depending on kind of which personality is dominant. If it's the version of him where there's like a split personality, he's a complicated character. He really is. Or they're complicated characters where sometimes we'll say the dark side, the counterpunch side, seems to take more personal dominance than the punch side. Nevertheless, probably considered to be the ultimate double spy within Transformers. And it's kind of amazing, really, that he was able to masquerade with such a simple transition from this to this for as long as he did. Maybe these, you know, futuristic, high-tech robots aren't as smart as they think they are. Punch, counter punch. Stealthy takes the number 6 slot. And here we are at the ever-popular, ever-coveted halfway mark. And at the halfway mark today, we have another entry that I thought was going to be on here because it kind of falls in line with exactly what I originally intended this list to be, by way of animated Prowl. Yeah, he's not exactly a ninja. He's, you know, he's a martial artist, but he has a lot of ninja training, ninja-like training, samurai training, a lot of like one with nature, a lot of calmness, but he's also very agile, fleet-footed, quiet, dangerous, skilled, stealthy, and, of course, exact. His precision is the big thing about this guy. Yeah, animated Prowl absolutely belongs here, and he took the number 5 slot. Now, number 4 is a tie, but it's a tie for technically the exact same character, by way of Soundwave. Whether G1 or Transformers Prime, they had the same number of votes, funny enough. So I just put them together. And really, I mean, can we argue it? Soundwave has minions of his own that he can deploy. But if we even take that ability away, he himself tends to have sonic abilities. This guy does brain scans, and I can't remember which episode it is, but like he's able to do brain scans unnoticed. It's stated in Transformers Prime that Soundwave has eyes and ears everywhere. Soundwave is the epitome of someone who doesn't talk too much and does a lot more listening. And that's how he learns his information, and that's how he uses his information against his friends and foes alike to meet his own personal goals. Soundwave, a very dangerous character, not only because of his skill and ability, but because of what he can learn about you and use against you. Yes, stealthy in terms of gathering information counts, for sure, and Soundwave, whether Prime or G1, takes the number 4 slot. And now we are into the top 3, and this one kind of ties back to number 4 and Soundwave, by way of Ravage. I mentioned his minions, and Ravage is noted as being a spy. He's noted as being someone who like infiltrates and hides and gets information. With his black, or really dark gunmetal gray. But I'm going to say black and gray color scheme. It's easy for him to hide in the shadows, lurk, wait, listen, adapt, record, and take that information and use it against his foes later on. Ironically, he does tend to get captured. That's why this guy came with classic sound, right? To mimic that time he was in the cage. But undoubtedly, Ravage is one of not just Soundwave's, but the Decepticons' most trusted minions for information gathering. He knows when to act, he knows when to hide, and he knows how to get the job done. Ravage takes the number 3 slot. Coming in at number 2, we still stick with the Soundwave theme and LaserBeak. LaserBeak, I believe, came in number 1 in the spy list, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure now, but I feel like he came in number 1. And you know what? When it comes to being stealthy, kind of the same arguments were made as to him being a spy. Not only is he able to fly and thereby go above everybody else and stay hidden and out of the way, but he's able to do a lot of recording. He's even able to use his feet, I guess, to adhere to many different surfaces, including ones that aren't necessarily just flat. And as Megatron himself says, LaserBeak never fails me. How can you argue with it? The guy is a master of information, a master of manipulation, and even when he wants to attack, he can attack from the skies and move and weave even through very small spaces in a very stealthy manner. So whether information gathering and being hidden and quiet, or engaging in battle and being able to swoop and fly and use his agility and his small stature to get through the tiniest of spaces to continue his onslaught, it's hard to argue with the effectiveness and stealthiness of LaserBeak, and he takes the number 2 slot. And now here we are once again at the very tippy top, number 1. And funny enough, when I used the word stealth, like most stealthy Transformer, it's so funny to me, I never even thought of this character. But now it's undeniable, because number 1 is Mirage. And you know what? How can you argue with Mirage being the most stealthy? Whether we're talking about his recent appearance in Rise of the Beast, where he's able to basically change his alt mode at will, or whether we go right back to G1, where he could literally turn himself invisible and walk onto enemy ships and enemy bases. How much more stealthy can you get than being invisible? And for that reason, Mirage takes the number 1 slot. And there you go, man. 10 down to 1 once again, and others that had some votes. I mentioned Rat Trap, Tarantula. No, I didn't mention Rat Trap. I mentioned Rat Bat. Rat Trap, Tarantulas, 07 Frenzy. That was a good one. Cosmos. Interesting one. I like that Bulkhead from Prime had a few votes. And in a way, I suppose, I feel like there was an episode where like he actually was stealthy. Six Shot, of course, he's a ninja. Lockdown, specifically the animated Lockdown, but any Lockdown. Starscream's Ghost, that's a good one. Certainly able to be stealthy. Mind Wipe. Stealth Bomber Megatron from the IDW era. Outback, because he has that Decepticon detector thing. Night Scream. Sideways, any version of Sideways. Skywarp, who's able to teleport, of course. Very stealthy ability. Skyjack, not a name you hear very often. If you don't know who Skyjack is, go look him up. Armada Thrust, Prime Makeshift, and just for good measure, let's say Prime RC. Them and more, man, got votes. It was not what I intended for this list, but I thought it worked out very, very interesting. Yeah, most stealthy Transformer. Mirage. Makes sense if you ask me. And there you go. Did your favorites make the list or not? I appreciate you guys coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon. See what we have to offer to you through spring. Of course, hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. While you are at it, please hit the subscribe button. Stick around, man. Have some fun with us here on the channel. And don't forget that somehow, some way, each and every single solitary day, you right there, you do make a difference in the world. And I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights at the stop motion premieres or the old-fashioned way right here inside the videos.